Chapter 56:17. Bewitching, has the problem with your physique been completely solved? There won't be any danger in the future, right? Gong Xiaoqing looked at Bewitching with concern. When Bewitching fell into a coma, everyone was extremely worried. Who would have thought that there would be such a big risk with his physique? Now that it's completely solved, there won't be any more problems. Bewitching said, "Then we can be at ease." Gong Xiaoqing nodded. They were very clear about the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching. If anything happened to Bewitching, Hongzhuang wouldn't live alone. Lu Qinyue quietly glanced at Gong Xiaoqing and asked, "You guys won't leave again this time, right?" "That's not it." Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. "This time, the matter of Cloud Sword sect has spread like wildfire. I won't hide it from you guys. On the other side of Shengxian continent, there is an island called Penglai. The cultivators there are stronger than here. The reason why Ancient Profound Sect is so arrogant this time is because an extremely strong cultivator has appeared in their sect." "That cultivator came from Penglai Island?" Dongfang Yu asked in surprise. Since he didn't come from Penglai Island, what's the relationship between the two?" "He came from a place stronger than Penglai Island, the upper realm." When these words came out, Dongfang Yu and the others were stunned. When they heard about Penglai Island, they were already shocked. Now, there was another place that was even stronger than Penglai Island. This was too unbelievable. There are actually so many powerful places in Shengxian continent? Bai Junyu's eyes widened. "I suddenly feel that I don't know anything about the upper realm." These words were undoubtedly full of shock to Gong Xiaoqing and the others. Everyone fell into silence for a moment. All along, they felt that the world they lived in was incomparably familiar. Only now did they understand that everything was not like that. Bailey Hongzhuang paid attention to everyone's expressions. In fact, the existence of the upper realm itself was not a big secret. It was just that they were worried that such news would cause some panic, so they had never mentioned it. The reason why she told Xia Jiqing and the others was that she felt that everyone might reach this level in the future. The earlier he knew, the more motivation he would have. After a brief surprise, Xia Jiqing quickly recovered. These things were not important to her. What she cared about was whether she could continue to travel with Hongzhuang. She missed those days very much. If she could continue to live that kind of life, it would be the happiest thing in her life. "In that case, you and Bewitching went to Penglai Island and the upper realm previously?" Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "That's right. We're only here temporarily. We'll be leaving in a few days." "I understand." Xia Jiqing understood and couldn't help but sigh. In the beginning, she and Hongzhuang had always been on the same side. Although Hongzhuang's strength had always been stronger than hers, she had always been working hard to catch up with Hongzhuang's footsteps. Now, the gap between them seemed to be even bigger, so big that it was difficult to catch up. "If you want to go there, I can take you with me. However, you have to think about it. The cultivators there are extremely strong, far stronger than the cultivators in Shengxian continent." Chapter 56:18. After everyone left, Bailey Hongzhuang said to Bewitching, "Bewitching, isn't this news too hard for everyone to accept?" To her, these pieces of news were not inconceivable at all. Even before she knew about Penglai Island, she doubted whether there would be such a strong existence in the Shengxian continent. After knowing all this, she accepted it very calmly. However, she neglected the fact that not everyone could calmly accept all of this. "That's not it." Bewitching's voice was as warm as the ocean. "Dongfang and the others' cultivation talent is very good, and they are likely to come in contact with this side in the future. Letting them know earlier may not be a bad thing, and you also gave them a chance to choose. No matter what choice they make, we will support them." Bailey Hongzhuang nodded lightly, thinking back to the time when everyone was in the same team and worked hard to join the sect. Now, there was a new road in front of them, but not everyone's thoughts were the same as before. "As far as I know, Dongfang and the others are now outstanding disciples in the sect, and their daily lives are quite comfortable." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Bewitching. Although she only said half of the words, she already understood. Not everyone liked to pursue higher strength, and there were more people who worked hard to improve their cultivation in order to live a comfortable life. Perhaps everyone was very satisfied with their current life, so they were not willing to make any changes. You are right, everyone has their own aspirations, and my thoughts may be different from theirs now. In the past 2 years, we have been immersed in the rhythm of our original lives, but they are completely different. Although the disciples of the sect often compete with each other, with their current cultivation, it is not difficult for them to deal with it, but to go to the upper realm with us, it is indeed difficult. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. She thought that she was too naive. I understand that you are doing this because of our friendship, but I think that even if they choose to go, it is best to experience Penglai Island first. It is not too late to go to the upper realm after they have adapted to life on Penglai Island and their strength has improved to a certain extent. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the serious and handsome face and smiled. I understand your concerns. In fact, I also think that there is a Penglai Island between the upper realm and the lower realm because this is a place for everyone to adapt to. If Dongfang and the others are really willing to go, we can entrust them to Penglai Palace. As disciples of Penglai Palace, they will have less trouble like us, and if they can't adapt, they can come back on their own. Di Beichen's deep eyes revealed his thoughts and consideration. He was not worried about Sect Master or the others, because his master and the others have always been aware of the existence of a higher realm, and they had never relaxed. And they were more mature, so it was not a problem to deal with these things. Dongfang Yu and the others were still very young. Perhaps their thoughts would change in the future. But no matter from which point of view, staying on Penglai Island for a while was excellent. Only after getting used to high-intensity battles would they be able to catch up to the upper realm as quickly as possible. Chapter 56-19. After returning to Tiangang sect, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen traveled together and visited all the places they were familiar with. When they arrived at the Pill Refinement Hall, Bailey Hongzhuang did not leave immediately. Instead, she walked in to check on the situation of the Pill Refinement Masters. The Pill Refiners of Tiangang sect were naturally aware of the eldest young lady's deep attainments in the art of pill refinement. Immediately, some of them plucked up the courage to ask for guidance. Bailey Hongzhuang did not refuse them and answered them one by one. Pills have always been very important to cultivators and to a sect. The Pill Refinement Hall was also extremely crucial. When the crowd saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was so amiable and approachable, their hearts were filled with joy. One by one, they began to ask the questions in their hearts. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's answers, they realized that the questions that had been troubling them for a long time had been solved so easily. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang simply opened a lecture hall and began to introduce some of the questions that they needed to pay attention to when refining pills. Her pill refinement skills have improved since she had ascended to the upper realm. Now, it was very easy for her to answer all of these questions. I've long heard that the eldest young lady's pill refinement skills are extremely outstanding. Now, it seems that the rumors are well-deserved. Isn't that so? Usually, it's very difficult to find definite answers to these questions. I never thought that the eldest young lady would be able to answer them without any hesitation and without any mistakes. I really hope that the eldest young lady can stay here forever. Then, our pill refinement skills will definitely surpass the medicine sects. Di Beichen's eyes rippled with a doting smile when he saw this. Aside from being an outstanding pill refiner, his wife was also a good teacher. Once they returned, Mu Lingbing's voice rang out before Bailey Hongzhuang could say anything. I heard that you went to the Pill Refinement Hall today and even opened a lecture hall? Bailey Hongzhuang was shocked. Mother, how did you know? This news has already spread throughout the entire Tiangang sect. Mu Jinsei chuckled. Along the way, I've heard disciples talking about it. Eldest young miss, you're very popular. Hongzhuang and Beichen have always been very popular here. I see that almost all the topics recently revolve around them. Mu Lingbing's face was full of pride. She was very satisfied to see her daughter grow up to be so outstanding. That's true. Mu Jinsei nodded. When the old man and I were here, we had never seen such a lively situation. In my opinion, even the cultivators who originally wanted to go into seclusion had to give up their plans. Listening to their conversation, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other and smiled. While the entire Tiangang sect was in joy, the masters of the various forces were in fear. No one knew what the Tiangang sect and the Cloud Sword sect were planning. During this process of waiting, they felt that every minute and every second was extremely unbearable. Most importantly, no news at a time like this meant that there was good news. Hence, the various large forces could only continuously ask around for information. On one hand, they were rejoicing that no news had been released. On the other hand, they were worried that the next news would be something they could not accept. "Mother, have you discussed the matter of going to the upper realm with father?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked curiously. Chapter 56:20. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes dimmed. She thought that with her mother's help, it wouldn't be difficult to solve this problem. She didn't expect that they would still fail in the end. "Mother, did father say why?" Mu Lingbing noticed the sadness on Bailey Hongzhuang's face and couldn't help but feel heartache. She hurriedly said, "Hongzhuang, don't be sad. Your father said that he will go to the upper realm to find you after he becomes stronger. Although he can't immediately go with you this time, he just needs to spend some time. He will go sooner or later. Be well in the upper realm and wait for us to come find you." Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. "No matter what you choose, I will support you." Seeing this, Mu Lingbing and Mu Jinsei looked at each other helplessly. Both father and daughter were doing this for each other. Although this result made them feel very helpless, they felt very warm in their hearts when they thought of their concern for each other. Bewitching silently watched this scene from the side. He already had some thoughts in his heart, and after hearing his mother-in-law's words, he was even more certain that his judgment was correct. At night, the bright moon hung high in the sky, and the night was as cold as water. Bewitching went directly to Lan Yunxiao's residence with a jug of good wine in hand. When Lan Yunxiao saw Bewitching suddenly appear, he was somewhat surprised. Without waiting for him to ask, Lan Yunxiao entered. Bewitching raised the jug of wine in his hand and smiled. "Father-in-law, do you have time to drink with me?" "Yunxiao, the two of you should have a good drink." Mu Lingbing smiled. Lan Yunxiao immediately nodded. Of course. He was very satisfied with this son-in-law of his. If not for this, he wouldn't have married Hongzhuang so soon after he recognized her. Fortunately, Bewitching didn't disappoint him. Even when he went to the upper realm, he didn't let Hongzhuang suffer in the large D family. The two of them sat on the ground in the back mountain. The bright moonlight shone on them, elongating their shadows and making them seem as close as brothers. "Father-in-law, I toast you. Thank you for letting Hongzhuang marry me." Bewitching raised the jug of wine. At this time, the two of them were too lazy to hold wine cups, so they directly drank from the jug of wine. How good! The two of them drank in large mouthfuls. The moonlight illuminated their handsome faces, hazy and beautiful. "Beichin, when we return to the upper realm, you must take good care of Hongzhuang." Lan Yunxiao patted Diza's back. "I already heard from your mother-in-law. This time, your family prepared many gifts, and I know that they treat Hongzhuang's treatment. However, Hongzhuang has no one to rely on in the upper realm after all. She still needs you to take good care of her. I'm entrusting Hongzhuang to you. You can't let me down." Bewitching nodded seriously. "Father, don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't let anyone bully Hongzhuang. I swear on my life on this." Lan Yunxiao also looked at Bewitching seriously and solemnly. When he saw the clear light in the other party's eyes, he revealed a satisfied expression. "That's good. I'm relieved. Father, since you're so worried about Hongzhuang, why don't you take advantage of this opportunity to go to the upper realm? I know that you all want to see Hongzhuang often. Although there are many family matters, as long as you handle them well, it's not difficult to put them aside for the time being." Chapter 56:21. Lan Yunxiao didn't say anything and only took another sip of wine. "Actually, I understand your concerns." Bewitching slowly said, "If I'm not wrong, the reason why you didn't take advantage of this opportunity to head to the upper realm is because you're worried that you'll implicate Hongzhuang." Lan Yunxiao's expression froze, then he looked up at the bright moon with a complicated expression. Bewitching continued, "Father-in-law, you might not be too clear about Hongzhuang's current status in the upper realm. She's not isolated and helpless in the D family. On the contrary, the D family still has to rely on her identity as the Holy Maiden of Light. The Radiant Sacred Assembly is a prominent existence in the upper realm, and the Holy Maiden of Light only appears once every several hundred years. Just based on this identity, no one dares to bully her. Lan Yunxiao's expression changed. He really didn't know much about this. Although Bewitching and Hong Zhuang had mentioned this before, he didn't think that the Holy Maiden of Light status could be compared to the status of an aristocratic family. But now, it seemed that he had underestimated the Holy Maiden of Light status. Not only that, Hong Zhuang is also a manager of the Alchemist Guild. She previously obtained first place in the Alchemist Assembly and is hailed as the existence most likely to become a 10th grade alchemist. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. Father-in-law, I believe that you understand Hong Zhuang's personality very well. She definitely won't do anything she isn't confident in. You have a very important position in her heart, so before she came back, she already thought of a comprehensive plan so that you can head to the upper realm with peace of mind. Right? There's one more thing that I believe Hong Zhuang should have mentioned. Bewitching raised his brows. Hong Zhuang is now the head of the Bailey family. Lan Yunxiao nodded. Hong Zhuang did mention this, but I don't understand. How did Hong Zhuang suddenly become the head of the Bailey family? When Hong Zhuang mentioned this, they all felt it was very strange. But they had been rather busy recently and had already made up their minds, so they didn't ask in detail. Actually, when Hong Zhuang was in Fengbo, she recognized a master. This master was from the upper realm's Bailey family. He passed the inheritance of the Bailey family to Hong Zhuang, and Hong Zhuang discovered all this after she went to the upper realm. After that, Hong Zhuang returned the inheritance of the Bailey family to them. In addition, the Bailey family had a prophecy that a Miss Hong Zhuang would lead them to become stronger. She was that person, and by chance, she became the head of the Bailey family. Bewitching's expression was calm as he narrated all the ins and outs of the story in an orderly manner. He had already discussed this with Hong Zhuang before they came back. It was clearly inappropriate to directly tell Lan Yunxiao and Lan Yunxiao that she wasn't the real Lan Yixuan. It would truly hurt their hearts too much. After thinking about it, this was the most suitable and acceptable way to put it. As expected, although Lan Yunxiao was shocked after hearing this, he didn't suspect anything. No wonder Hong Zhuang was able to perform so well in Fengbo. It turns out that she has an outstanding master behind her. Lan Yunxiao immediately understood. He had been very shocked at this point. He didn't expect his daughter to grow up so well in a small dynasty. Chapter 56-22. Previously, Hong Zhuang was worried that you would feel uneasy in the D family after going to the upper realm. After she became the head of the Bailey family, she made up her mind to bring you to the upper realm. Because it's her family, you don't need to feel uneasy. Bewitching explained everything that Bailey Hong Zhuang had been worried about. His deep voice was filled with sincerity. She really has prepared everything she could think of. After hearing all of this, Lan Yunxiao's face revealed a trace of shock. Although Hong Zhuang had mentioned this before, it hadn't shocked him as much as this. Only now did he understand that his daughter had made so many preparations to make them feel at ease. When I first met Hong Zhuang, General Bailey's family didn't treat her well, but she was very strong. The humiliation she endured was unbearable for many men. When she found out that she wasn't her biological daughter and that you didn't abandon her on purpose, I clearly saw her joy. In the past few years, her goal was to save you. I saw everything she did with my own eyes and understood her feelings for you. During these days in the upper realm, Hong Zhuang lived very well. Even though she was only there for a short period of time, she already had an unshakable position in the upper realm. But even so, she has always been worried about you. She was worried that you would encounter unknown dangers in the lower realm, but she also hoped that you could stay in the upper realm because it's more suitable for cultivators to develop. Father-in-law, I believe that you also love Hong Zhuang. If you chose to refuse because you were worried about her situation, I think it's better to make her happy. What do you think? Bewitching looked at the shocked Lan Yunxiao. This was the first time he had said so much because he couldn't bear to see Hong Zhuang sad. Hong Zhuang had always been very strong, as if nothing could break her. But there was still a weak spot in her heart. Lan Yunxiao's heart trembled and his eyes reddened. In fact, he had always known that Hong Zhuang's life had not been easy all these years. Even though Hong Zhuang had downplayed everything, they could more or less guess. However, it wasn't until Di Beichen explained everything that he realized that they were still too naive. He was still so young, but he was already mature enough to think of everything for them. After a while, Lan Yunxiao nodded. Beichen, you're right. Nothing is more important than Hong Zhuang's happiness. When Di Beichen heard this, his face showed a happy smile. Father, so, do you agree? Agreed. Lan Yunxiao nodded solemnly and raised the wine pot. Come, cheers. After drinking a large mouthful of wine, Lan Yunxiao said, I didn't consider this matter from Hong Zhuang's perspective. Fortunately, you reminded me. Otherwise, Hong Zhuang would be very disappointed when she leaves. He had already caused his daughter to lose so many years of happiness. How could he continue? Father-in-law, Hong Zhuang also understands your painstaking efforts. Di Beichen smiled faintly. But if she knows that you're willing to go together, she'll be very happy. Actually, your mother-in-law also wants to go to the upper realm to accompany Hong Zhuang. This is great. I don't have to be nagged by her anymore. Lan Yunxiao laughed heartily. Clearly, he was very happy after resolving one of his worries. Chapter 56-23. The next day, the weather was clear and the sun was shining brightly. Bailey Hongzhuang saw Mu Lingbing appear in front of her door with a smile on her face early in the morning. She was a little surprised. Mother, did something good happen? Why are you so happy this early in the morning? Hongzhuang, let me tell you some good news. Mu Lingbing held Bailey Hongzhuang's hand, unable to conceal her joy. Your father has agreed to go to the upper realm. As soon as the words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly surprised. Suspicion flashed in her eyes, followed by a fiery joy. Really? Father really agreed? Mu Lingbing nodded. Of course. Why would I lie to you about something like this? Father's attitude has always been firm. Why did he suddenly change his mind? Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful black eyes were filled with doubt. She was very puzzled. She had tried to persuade him many times before, but to no avail. She had already accepted this result, but her father had suddenly changed his mind. Something must have happened that she didn't know about. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to change his mind. Mu Lingbing smiled and pointed at Di Beichen, who was standing behind Bailey Hongzhuang. You'll have to ask Beichen about this. Last night, Beichen went to find your father for a chat, and the two of them drank until the middle of the night before returning. This morning, your father told me that he changed his mind. Although she didn't know what Di Beichen had said to Lan Yunxiao, she was certain that this change had something to do with Beichen. Bailey Hongzhuang turned to look at Di Beichen. Her beautiful face was filled with joy and gratitude. You really did it? Beichen had said that he would handle this matter, but because her father's attitude was too firm, she hadn't taken it to heart. She hadn't expected that Beichen would really be able to persuade her father. This was too shocking. Di Beichen nodded with a smile. I'll naturally do what I promised you. You're amazing. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but give Di Beichen a big hug. Her pretty face was filled with joy. Ever since she'd returned to the lower realm, she'd hoped to persuade her father, and Beichen had accomplished what she'd thought was impossible. She was truly overjoyed. Feeling this warm hug, Di Beichen smiled slightly. After seeing such a happy Hong Zhuang, everything was worth it. He believed that his father-in-law would think so too. Mu Lingbing looked at the loving Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen, and her eyes flashed with love and affection. You two have a good chat, I'll go back first. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang let go of Di Beichen, a little embarrassed. Mu Lingbing had already turned to leave. Just as she was about to let go, Di Beichen hugged her tightly and carried her directly into the house. Beichen? Bailey Hongzhuang was surprised. Wife, I helped you fulfill such a big wish. You can't just thank me with words. You have to take action. Di Beichen smiled evilly. It's morning now. I don't mind. After Xia Jiqing learned that there was a higher existence in this world, her heart was extremely shocked, but she did not hesitate at all. Since Hong Zhuang had gone to the upper realm, of course, she would go with her. Chapter 56-24. Jiqing, you should be planning to go to the upper realm, right? Bai Junyu noticed Xia Jiqing's expression and had already guessed her thoughts. He and Jiqing had been together for a few years, and he knew Jiqing's temperament very well. Xia Jiqing nodded. Although I haven't been there, just listening to Hong Zhuang, I know that it's very good. If we go there, our strength can be improved. Saying this, Xia Jiqing seemed to think of something. She turned to look at Bai Junyu and said, Junyu, do you want to go? Looking at Xia Jiqing's worried look, Bai Junyu chuckled, I thought you forgot about me after Hong Zhuang came back. I didn't. Xia Jiqing smiled. Bai Junyu was good to her, and she had always kept it in her heart. Even if they had been together for so long, Bai Junyu still took care of her as always, which made her very touched. Seeing that you still have a little conscience, I will go with you. Bai Junyu smiled dotingly. What you said is true. Xia Jiqing jumped up in surprise. As far as she was concerned, this matter did not need to be considered at all. The only thing she was worried about was that Bai Junyu was not willing. If Junyu did not go, then she did not know whether to go or not. Now that Junyu had agreed, she had no more worries. Do you think I don't know you? Bai Junyu looked helpless. Hong Zhuang is so important in your heart. When Hong Zhuang was not here, you always talked about it. Now that Hong Zhuang is back and gives you such a choice, it would be strange if you don't agree. Junyu, you really know me too well. Xia Jiqing's face was full of joy. In fact, the reason why I can be where I am now is because of Hong Zhuang. If it weren't for Hong Zhuang encouraging me and helping me, I wouldn't have been able to join the sect. You also heard what Hong Zhuang said. There are so many strong people in this world. Are we satisfied with the status quo and give up everything? Bai Junyu nodded slightly. You're right. It's not necessarily a bad thing to venture into the upper realm. It had only been a few years since Hong Zhuang and Bewitching had left, but their strength had increased so much. Right now, they were still very young. If they took advantage of this time to go out and make a name for themselves, they would be able to achieve even greater achievements. Jiqing, actually, with our current cultivation, Hong Zhuang is already taking care of us by being willing to take us there, so we must work hard. Bai Junyu's expression was serious. Although Hong Zhuang did not mention this point, he understood in his heart. If they needed help, it would undoubtedly be much easier to find one from the upper realm. However, Hong Zhuang had proposed to bring them along. This was because she wanted to guide them because of their previous friendship. If he didn't seize such a good opportunity, he would be letting Hong Zhuang down. Listening to Bai Junyu's words, Xia Jiqing also understood. I understand. Hong Zhuang has always been very sincere to us. What she was most grateful for was that Hong Zhuang's status was no longer on the same level as hers. However, Hong Zhuang had never cared about this and had always treated her sincerely. Since it has been decided, should we tell Hong Zhuang first? Xia Jiqing raised her lips and smiled. This time, I'm afraid they won't stay for long. The earlier we tell her, the earlier we can prepare. Chapter 56-25. Just as Bai Junyu and Xia Jiqing were heading to Bailey Hongzhuang's residence, they unexpectedly met Dongfang Yu on the way. The three of them looked at each other and smiled. It seems that you have also thought about it? Dongfang Yu took the lead and said. Xia Jiqing nodded slightly. Yes, we have decided to go to the upper realm. What about you? My thoughts are the same as yours. Dongfang Yu chuckled. We are still so young, how can everything stop here? Since there is a more powerful place, no matter what, we have to go and see it. Even if we can't adapt, we can still come back. Looking at Dongfang Yu's casual appearance, Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu also sighed. Dongfang Yu had always been the most free and easy person. Many problems that seemed incomparably tangled to others were not problems at all for him, but they had to admit that such a free and easy attitude was really admirable. By the way, did you not call Shaoqing when you came? Bai Junyu was a little puzzled. Usually, Dongfang Yu would call Gong Shaoqing. The two of them had always had a good relationship since they were at the academy. However, the situation had changed slightly after Gong Shaoqing and Lu Qinyue got together. I have already asked Xiaoqing, but this time, his plan is different from ours. Dong Fangyu shrugged, his face full of emotion. Hearing this, Bai Junyu and Xia Jiqing were slightly surprised. They did not expect Gong Xiaoqing to refuse. Did Xiaoqing say why? One had to know that Gong Xiaoqing was the most hardworking among them. It was reasonable to say that he would not refuse such an opportunity. Qingyue feels that life here is very good and does not want to go out again. Dong Fangyu pursed his lips, his eyebrows showing a trace of sadness. He and Gong Xiaoqing were good brothers for many years. Over the years, the two of them had been working together and could be said to be inseparable. They did not expect that the two of them would have different choices now. Although there was still a chance to come back, they knew in their hearts that once they left this time, they did not know when they would meet again in the future. Xia Jiqing suddenly understood, Qinyue's temperament is very gentle. A life of fighting and killing is not suitable for her. On the contrary, it is very suitable here. When they were at the academy, Qinyue's characteristics had already been exposed. She preferred a more stable life and did not want too many twists and turns in her life. The future of this trip to the upper realm was uncertain, and they might encounter danger at any time. It was normal for them to be unwilling to go. Since this is their choice, we can only give them our blessings. Bai Junyu spread out his hands. It's a pity that the number of people in our team will be reduced. That's right. Bai Junyu sighed. It was so lively when we were together. When Bailey Hongzhuang learned that Xia Jiqing and the other two had chosen to go together, her face also showed a happy smile. It's great that you're willing to come with us. It's a pity that Xiaoqing and Qinyue chose to stay here. Actually, it's good that they're staying here. They're all outstanding disciples in the sect. Now that the three of you have left, it'll have a certain impact. If the two of them stay here, they can at least lead a group of disciples. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. She was very open-minded about this. Qinyue's temperament was not suitable to go outside. Chapter 56-26. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately said this decision. In addition to you, the sect and the Lan family will choose some excellent cultivators to go with you. Penglai Island is actually a very good place to gain experience, and there is a magic refining tower there. If there is a chance, you can try to get the inheritance. After you adapt to the situation on Penglai Island, we will take you to the upper realm. She had made up her mind to let her family and sect gradually become stronger. Letting some cultivators improve in batches and then slowly transition was undoubtedly the best. After hearing this news, Dong Fangyu and the others were a little surprised, but they also understood Hongzhuang's painstaking arrangement. No problem, I understand that the gap between the upper realm and the lower realm is too big. It is good for us to adapt to Penglai Island first. Dong Fangyu blinked his charming peach blossom eyes, looking relaxed and calm. In fact, he had been worried about this problem before. Although he didn't know how strong Hongzhuang was now, just by feeling her aura, he knew that it was definitely not an ordinary gap. If the strength of everyone in the upper realm was so amazing, they wouldn't know what to do after going there. Basically, in addition to silently cultivating, they didn't even have the courage to go out. If they accidentally offended someone, they wouldn't even have the ability to fight back. Although the cultivators on Penglai Island were very strong, at least the gap could be seen and there was a goal to pursue. We are very familiar with the Penglai Palace on Penglai Island. We were disciples of the Penglai Palace before. You can directly join the Penglai Palace. With the help of the Palace Master and Master Long, there should be no problem with your cultivation. Di Baichen said. Hearing this, the three nodded slightly. Since Baichen said so, they knew that the relationship with the Penglai Palace must be very familiar. If not, Hongzhuang and Baichen wouldn't be at ease to let everyone stay there. You arranged it, we are relieved. Bai Junyu smiled. I didn't expect you to help us plan it all. Bailey Hongzhuang took Xia Jiqing's hand. Jiqing, in fact, I wanted to go with you, but the difference in the upper realm is really big. If you stay in the house all day to cultivate, it will undoubtedly be very boring. On the Penglai Island, there are more suitable places for you to cultivate. As a cultivator, it was obviously not appropriate to cultivate in seclusion without experience. However, The dangers of the upper realm were not suitable for them, and the world in the Chaos Ring was now more dangerous as their strength increased. It was no longer suitable for Xia Jiqing and the others. Xia Jiqing's face was filled with a warm and kind smile. Hong Zhuang, I know that you have always cared about me. This is the best way so far. Don't worry, we will definitely cultivate properly on Penglai Island. It is impossible for us to surpass you. However, we will definitely catch up to you as soon as possible and head to the upper realm. Bailey Hongzhuang was completely relieved when she saw Xia Jiqing like this. I believe that with your talent, you will soon reach the standard to go to the upper realm. Maybe you will have a fortuitous encounter on Penglai Island. Penglai Island was located between the upper realm and the lower realm. It also had a good inheritance. If there was an opportunity, the improvement would be very fast. Chapter 56-27. Looking at Dongfang Yu, who was as handsome as ever, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but tease him. Dongfang, with your personality, you've always been very popular with women. How come you still haven't found someone you like? Thinking back to when they were in the academy, Dongfang Yu was an extremely popular senior brother. No matter where he went, there would always be women secretly throwing flirtatious glances at him. After coming to Tiangang sect, the situation didn't change. With his handsome appearance and his sunny personality, he was really popular. Fate hasn't arrived yet. Dongfang Yu shrugged, I'm also very helpless. Hong Zhuang, don't pay attention to him. Xia Jiqing glanced at Dongfang Yu. You don't know how many senior and junior sisters admire him in the sect. You also know his personality, he's very approachable. Every year, many of the junior sisters who join us have their hearts captured by him. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She really believed this. A gentle, handsome, and strong senior brother, the average woman couldn't help but admire him. This guy just treats everyone as a friend, breaking their hearts. Xia Jiqing shook her head. If I were the elder sister of those junior sisters, I would definitely beat you to death. This is called passing through a field of 10,000 flowers without a single leaf touching my body. Dongfang Yu's face was proud. A real man's ambition is to travel far. I'm still young. Why would I find someone to manage me so early? Look at Xiaoqing, he doesn't even have a chance to go out now. Xia Jiqing and the others looked at each other. This was indeed a bit helpless. Dongfang, you don't have to find excuses. Can't Jiqing and I still go? You can only say that your luck is good. Dongfang Yu raised his eyebrows. If you didn't agree, you would be in trouble now. Dongfang, I think your fate hasn't arrived yet. Maybe when you go to Penglai Island or the upper realm, you'll find the woman you like. Di Beichen laughed. I think so too. Dongfang Yu's face was full of smiles. Beichen, when the time comes, I'll have to rely on you to take care of me. There are quite a few young and beautiful women in my family. However, with your personality, it's best that you don't harm them. Di Beichen shook his head. He had already experienced Yi Yi's situation once. If such a situation were to happen again in the future, he was afraid that he would not be able to withstand it. As soon as he said this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two couldn't help but laugh. Dongfang Yu's face fell. Beichen, you should at least leave me some face. We're all on the same side, so there's no need to be polite. Di Beichen patted Dongfang Yu's shoulder. Is this how you use your own people? Dongfang Yu was dumbfounded. Big brother, you're too deceitful. Ever since Lan Yunxiao changed his mind, everyone was in a good mood. Si Tuyen was also thinking about how to arrange the affairs of the sect. Fortunately, there were trustworthy elders in the sect. Even if he left for a period of time, there would not be any impact. As for the Lan family, Lan Yunxiao was also not worried. Although he had only regained the position of family head for a few years, the younger generation had already grown up to be very outstanding. In addition to the elders and the old family head, the Lan family would not have any problems. Mu Jins was also arranging the affairs of the sect. Everyone was busy with their own matters, but the progress was quite good. Yu Linfeng and Nangong Wu naturally decided to go as well. They couldn't miss such a good opportunity. Chapter 56-28. Something happened to the ancient profound sect. A piece of news quickly spread. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest who were prepared to head to Penglai Island in 2 days frowned when they heard the news. Isn't the matter already settled? What else can happen at this time? Situ Yen frowned. After dealing with the sect master of the Ancient Profound Sect, the Ancient Profound Sect was clearly in a state of disunity. So many forces present would not miss this opportunity to beat a drowning dog. Even if they did not send anyone to take a look, they were able to confirm the outcome of the Ancient Profound Sect. After this matter, the Ancient Profound Sect would definitely be completely removed from the Shengxian continent. Sect Master, it's like this. Great Elder's expression was solemn. Shen Yaolong was indeed dealt with by us. However, no one would have thought that Shen Yaolong actually had an elder brother, Shen Yaoyang. Just as the major forces were preparing to overthrow the Ancient Profound Sect, Shen Yaoyang suddenly appeared and directly killed several sect masters. That kind of strength was completely beyond our imagination. After Shen Yaoyang found out that Shen Yaolong had been killed, he became even more furious and threatened to have us arrive at the Ancient Profound Sect today. Otherwise, he will kill everyone present, and then annihilate the Cloud Sword Sect and our sect. Following Great Elder's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest were shocked. They did not expect this matter to have such a follow-up. Shen Yaolong actually has an elder brother. Looks like they should have come to the lower realm together. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows twitched. Her phoenix eyes were filled with thoughts. Could it be that both of them are of the dark attribute? Even if they are blood brothers, their awakening might not be of the same attribute. Bewitching shook his head. Of course, we can't rule out this possibility. However, this Shen Yaolong did not mention this matter before he died. It's really interesting. According to the news, this Shen Yaoyang's strength is much stronger than Shen Yaolong. It is said that he had just come out of seclusion and coincidentally caught up with the major forces dealing with the Ancient Profound Sect. He was furious and killed several sect masters with a single slap. The Great Elder's face was filled with worry. Previously, Shen Yaolong alone was already very difficult to deal with. Luckily, the young sect master and eldest miss were strong enough to deal with him. Now that Shen Yaoyang, who was even stronger than Shen Yaolong, had appeared, it would be troublesome if they couldn't deal with him. Gu Yanran also didn't tell the truth. This guy is probably waiting for Shen Yaoyang to come out of seclusion to deal with us. Lan Yunxiao's gaze was gloomy. Before Gu Yanran died, he noticed that there was something wrong with his eyes, but he didn't take it to heart. Now, it seemed that there was indeed something strange going on. He had been careless. I wonder how strong Shen Yaoyang really is. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but worry. What if he's too strong? What will we do then? Mother, don't worry. Since they're brothers, if their ages aren't too different, their strength won't be too different. Bailey Hongzhuang comforted Mu Lingbing, her beautiful face serious. No matter what, let's go and take a look. Even if they stayed here, Shen Yaoyang would come to find them. Why not let them go and take a look? That's right. Yu Linfeng nodded. Let's go now. Chapter 56-29. Noticing the actions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest, when Xiren understood their thoughts and immediately said, "Looks like you guys have already received the news." Bewitching nodded. Let's go to the Ancient Profound Sect to take a look. Everyone immediately set off. Whether it was the Tiangang sect or the Cloud Sword sect, their relationship with the Ancient Profound Sect could not be considered close. Hence, they did not have a direct teleportation array, so it was inevitable that they would spend some time on the journey. I really didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. I wonder what kind of strength this Shen Yaoyang has. Shangguan Yingying's small face scrunched up. Luckily we haven't left yet. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. As Shangguan Yingying's voice fell, everyone couldn't help but rejoice. If Shen Yaoyang had appeared a little later, once they left, then the Tiangang sect and the Cloud Sword sect would have suffered a calamity. Yingying, hearing you say this, I suddenly feel that this Shen Yaoyang has appeared at the right time. When Xiren chuckled, "Isn't that so?" Shangguan Yingying's face was serious. I feel that this Shen Yaoyang's strength shouldn't be much stronger than Shen Yaolong's, right? We'll have to wait until we get there before we know. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was indifferent. Because Xin Yaolong's strength was already stronger than all the leaders of the forces, they were unable to determine how strong everyone was talking about. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were hurrying on their way, Gu Xuanzong was in a tragic situation. The smell of blood spread in the air. The once prosperous ancient profound sect now had many dilapidated walls and dilapidated walls. Some buildings had turned into ruins, and only some buildings at the back were not affected. At this moment, the disciples of the ancient mysterious sect all had terrified expressions on their faces. On the other hand, the various elders were standing behind a man in a black robe. Their expressions were bewildered, and there was also some hatred and exaltation. On the other hand, the leaders of the forces were suppressed to the point of being unable to move. Cold sweat had already soaked their clothes, and their faces were extremely pale. An indescribable worry and fear spread in everyone's hearts. After seeing the tragic deaths of those people, they were worried that they would be next. As the leader of a force, they all cherished their lives. No one wanted to lose their lives here. For a moment, everyone was regretting. If they hadn't wanted to take advantage of the situation today, they wouldn't have encountered such a situation now. I wonder if the Cloud Sword sect and Tiangang sect will come? If they don't come, we're dead. They should come. Even if they don't come now, Xin Yaoyang will come knocking on their door. I hope Young sect leader Wen can defeat Xin Yaoyang. Otherwise, we're really finished. Everyone sighed and placed all their hopes on Xiren. The scene of Xiren teaching Xin Yaolong a lesson was still vivid in his mind. He only hoped that he would be able to get rid of Xin Yaolong this time. In reality, after these few days, they understood that the Cloudsword sect and Tiangang sect didn't have the intention of unifying the powers of the entire Xingxian continent, so they were extremely at ease. As long as they could get rid of Xin Yaoyang, everything would return to normal. Xin Yaoyang looked at the leaders of the forces who didn't have the slightest bit of resistance in front of him, and his eyes were filled with ridicule. Chapter 5630. Following Xin Yaoyang's words, everyone's hearts were in their throats as they nervously looked at Xin Yaoyang. Xin Yaoyang's strength made them feel incomparable despair. As long as Xin Yaoyang had the intention to kill, none of them present would be able to defeat him. Xin Yaoyang, why are you so sure that I won't come? When Xiren and the others heard these words as soon as they returned, they immediately responded. Hearing this, everyone quietly heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Xiren and the rest with anticipation. Now, when Xiren and the rest were saviors in their eyes, all their hopes were placed on him. If Xiren could deal with Xin Yaoyang, they would be able to save their lives. Xin Yaoyang turned his head and looked at Xiren and the rest who were slowly walking over. His eyes were filled with hostility. You're Xiren? That's right, I am, Xiren said coldly. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest were sizing up Xin Yaoyang in front of them. His appearance was quite similar to Xin Yaolong's, so they could tell at a glance that the two were brothers. You're the one who killed my younger brother. Xin Yaoyang's voice suddenly turned cold, and an endless pressure erupted. Feeling the aura that Xin Yaoyang released, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest's expressions changed slightly. Nebula Realm. This guy's cultivation had actually reached the Nebula Realm. Wood attribute. Bewitching's eyes narrowed. Xin Yaoyang's is not of the darkness attribute, but of the wood attribute. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. When Xin Yaoyang's aura erupted, he had already revealed his attribute talent. Indeed, it was not of the darkness attribute. It seems that Xin Yaoyang and Xin Yaolong's relationship is really good. Because Xin Yaolong couldn't survive in the upper realm, Xin Yaoyang accompanied him to the lower realm. Regarding this, she was also quite helpless. If Xin Yaolong didn't have the idea of annexing all the forces, things wouldn't have ended up like this. In the end, it was his own fault. You're just a Nebula Level 2 cultivator, yet you dare to make a move on my brother. As soon as he said this, the hopeful eyes of the leaders of the various forces instantly dimmed. They were filled with dejection and despair. I didn't expect that even young sect master Wen wasn't a match for Xin Yaoyang. I'm afraid we're really finished this time. Who would have thought that there was another Xin Yaoyang besides Xin Yaolong? I just hope that Xin Yaoyang won't be too ruthless. Everyone sighed. Even though the two of them hadn't fought yet and they didn't know what the Starlight Realm was, they weren't fools and could tell from the exchange. Just as Shin Yaoyang finished speaking, his figure had already flown up. His aura was locked tightly onto Xiren, and the viciousness and hostility on his face were fully displayed. Bang! A ferocious fist with boundless chi energy pierced through the air towards Xiren's vitals. The crowd didn't expect Shin Yaoyang to make a move so quickly and were instantly shocked. Xiren, be careful! Shengguan Inying shouted. The strength of a nebula realm wasn't something that Xiren could contend against. Xiren's reaction speed wasn't slow either. After seeing Shin Yaoyang make a move, he immediately retreated. He didn't intend to face a Starlight Realm cultivator head-on. Trying to run? No way! Shen Yaoyang snorted coldly, but his gaze was locked onto Bailey Hongzhuang, who was in the crowd. Chapter 5631. No one expected Shin Yaoyang to change his target midway. In an instant, Shin Yaoyang's attack landed in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Lan Yunxiao and the rest were shocked, but by the time they reacted and wanted to stop it, it was already too late. The leaders of all the forces present couldn't help but close their eyes, because they could already imagine the scene of Bailey Hongzhuang's death. Bailey Hongzhuang originally wanted to help when she saw Shin Yaoyang attacking Xiren, but she didn't expect this guy to suddenly change his target to her. This was great, she didn't even need to chase after him. Shen Yaoyang's fist enlarged in front of Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. He didn't have any tender feelings for the fairer sex, and his black pupils were filled with cruelty and ruthlessness. Shin Yaolong was his only younger brother, so he also wanted to let Xiren have a taste of what it felt like to personally see someone he cared about die. He wouldn't kill Xiren first. He wanted to kill everyone by Xiren's side, one by one. He wanted to let when Xiren experienced this kind of despair and pain before dying. Bang! Just as Shin Yaoyang's fist was about to land on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, Bailey Hongzhuang also made her move. Her slender arms were unable to withstand a single blow from the big fist. Shen Yaoyang ridiculed in his heart, but when he noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's calm expression without any trace of fear, a trace of doubt flashed through his heart. Ta-da! The figure was sent flying out. Everyone sighed, but when they saw clearly, they realized that the person who flew out wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang, but Shin Yaoyang. Shen Yaoyang retreated several steps before stabilizing himself. When he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again, his expression was no longer as confident and arrogant as before. Nebulous Seventh Order? His deep voice was filled with disbelief. Shen Yaoyang couldn't believe that this young woman's strength had actually reached the Nebulous Seventh Order. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and slowly walked forward. Her exquisite and dazzling face was filled with coldness and disdain. You really know how to pick people to fight. The cold voice caused Shin Yaoyang's expression to stiffen. He didn't understand why he randomly picked such an opponent. If he had known this would happen, he would have directly attacked Xiren. Xiren couldn't help but chuckle. Among them, apart from Bewitching, Hongzhuang's strength was the strongest. This guy actually chose Hongzhuang, and gave himself a resounding slap to his face. Even if you're at the Nebula Seventh Order, you still can't beat me. Shin Yaoyang's eyes flashed coldly. The reason why he was at a disadvantage before was because he did not think that Bailey Hongzhuang would be so strong, so he did not use his full strength. Therefore, he fell into a disadvantage. Bewitching, what's this guy's strength? Shengguan Inying couldn't help but worry. She originally thought that this guy wasn't Hongzhuang's opponent, so they didn't need to worry. But now, it seemed that this guy's strength wasn't any weaker than Hongzhuang's. At the same time, Lan Yunxiao and the others all looked at Bewitching, wanting to know the result. This guy should also be at the Nebula Seventh Order. Bewitching slowly said. Following Bewitching's words, Lan Yunxiao and the others' hearts were once again in suspense. With the same level of cultivation, it was really hard to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. Chapter 5632. If the other party's strength was much stronger than Hongzhuang's, they would still be worried. However, in the face of cultivators of the same cultivation level, Hongzhuang had never lost. Then you can try. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent. Her bright and beautiful face was surrounded by a confident luster. That strong and dazzling confidence rendered everyone present. Shen Yaoyang snorted coldly and his figure swept out again. This time, he no longer had the slightest bit of carelessness. This woman in front of him was the key to obstructing him today. Only by dealing with her could everything be completed. The leaders of the forces who had long lost hope were once again rekindled with hope. This was probably the second time in history that they had such a mood of ups and downs. I didn't expect young Palace Master Bailey's strength to be even stronger than young Sect Master Wen. Young Palace Master Bailey's reputation was already very well known in the past. It seems that she has also gained a lot in these few years of experience outside. Now, Wuji Palace and the Lan family really can't be provoked. Countless thoughts flashed through everyone's mind. In the past, because the Lan family, Tiangang sect, and many other forces had united together, they had already become an unshakable existence. Now, needless to say, with such terrifying strength, who could shake them? However, just as Shen Yaoyang attacked again, a tall and straight figure was already standing in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. With me here, how can I let my wife take action? Di Beichen's lips curled up slightly. His wild and unrestrained voice was domineering and protective. A trace of cold light quietly flashed through the depths of his eyes. This guy was so arrogant to attack Hongzhuang in front of him. Did he treat him as if he didn't exist? After seeing this scene, everyone's expression changed again. How could they forget that Di Beichen was also an extremely outstanding existence? Shen Yaoyang couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Wasn't Ziren the only guy? The sudden appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang was one thing, but now there was Di Beichen. Who knew if there would be another guy? Just Bailey Hongzhuang was already troublesome enough for him. If there was another Nebula 7th Order cultivator, just in terms of numbers, the other party would have already won. When Di Beichen saw that Shen Yaoyang was in a daze, he didn't waste any time. His body turned into a bolt of lightning and directly rushed out. Black energy lingered in his hands and a terrifying chi swept out in an instant. Boom! The ferocious punch directly blasted the air, bringing along an ear-piercing explosion sound as it headed towards Shen Yaoyang. Shen Yaoyang's first reaction was to dodge, but Di Beichen seemed to have already predicted how he would dodge. His attack turned around halfway and landed directly where Shen Yaoyang was dodging. Shen Yaoyang felt uneasy, but he was unable to dodge again. Bang! The unavoidable punch mercilessly landed on Shen Yaoyang's face. No matter the angle or position, it was exactly the same as when Shen Yaoyang attacked Bailey Hongzhuang previously. Kacha! The crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. Shen Yaoyang's body flew out again. However, this time was much more difficult than the previous time. The bridge of his nose was broken. Blood flowed continuously from his nose. Shen Yaoyang endured the pain and used his sleeve to wipe the nosebleed, but it didn't stop at all. On the contrary, the nosebleed blurred his entire face. Where was the arrogant and proud look from before? Damn it! Shen Yaoyang cursed. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. Chapter 5633. Shen Yaoyang was about to die from anger. Wasn't there no cultivator above the purple realm in this lower realm? It was because of this that he allowed Shen Yaolong to do whatever he wanted while he found a place to go into seclusion. However, not only did a Nebula Rank 2 and Nebula Rank 7 appear, there was even a Nebula Rank 8 cultivator. Do you really think that you are the only Nebula Realm cultivator in the lower realm? Di Beichen sneered. Shen Yaoyang looked at the figure in front of him and didn't say anything because he really thought so. You are a dark attribute cultivator, then how did you reach the Nebula Realm? After knowing that he wasn't a match for him, Shen Yaoyang didn't want to make a move. A Starlight Rank 8 was already stronger than him, plus Bailey Hongzhuang and Ziren, the result was obvious. However, he couldn't understand. Dark attribute cultivators didn't have a suitable cultivation method, so it was impossible to reach the Nebula Realm. Could it be that there was a cultivation method in the lower realm? What's the use of you knowing all this now? Di Beichen was too lazy to talk to Shen Yaoyang. A Nebula Rank 7 couldn't cause any impact in the upper realm, but it was enough to cause a huge uproar in the lower realm. It was fine if he was strict with himself, but he had to be killed for doing evil. Therefore, Di Beichen's attack was merciless and swept out again. Before leaving the lower realm, he had to deal with all the dangers that might appear. Shen Yaoyang knew that he wasn't a match for Di Beichen and tried to escape, but he didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had already seen through his trick and blocked his path. Bang bang bang! A loud and frightening sound echoed. Shen Yaoyang resisted with all his might, but Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang didn't show any mercy. Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but cover her eyes. I can't help but pity Shen Yaoyang. With Di Beichen and his wife making a move, he's doomed. Who asked him to be unlucky? This is the result of not being able to show off. When Xiren shrugged, this outcome was within his expectations. Boom! Another loud crashing sound rang out. Another huge crater appeared in the ancient profound sect. Shen Yaoyang also fell into it. Shen Yaoyang coughed and spat out blood. The combat power of these two people was beyond his imagination. He didn't even have the chance to escape. From the very beginning, this matter was started by your younger brother working with the ancient profound sect. If it weren't for you all having such malicious intentions, things wouldn't have ended up like this. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourselves. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly as she looked at Shen Yaoyang, whose face was pale and didn't seem to be able to live for much longer. The people of the lower realms were not in the wrong. It was only because they relied on their own strength that they did not care about the lives of others. Such a person deserved to be in such a situation. Shen Yaoyang stared fixedly at the two people above. He could not help but feel regret in his heart. If he had known that this would happen, he would not have hooted here earlier. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Unfortunately, he had no chance at all now. Clap clap. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen clapped their hands and walked back to the group with smiles on their faces. Now we can leave in peace. This kind of thing shouldn't happen again. Di Beichen said with a smile. Chapter 5634. Only then did the leaders of the various forces regain their senses. The situation before them had changed so quickly that it was completely beyond their imagination. Shen Yaoyang, who they thought was impossible to deal with, fell into the hands of Di Beichen and his wife, and was so easily dealt with. However, in the process of fighting, they still felt the horror of the super strength. Ancient profound sect had now completely turned into ruins. The elders and cultivators who were originally watching had already begun to flee when they realized that the situation was not good. In a short period of time, they had already disappeared without a trace. If it was said that everyone was still thinking of reviving ancient profound sect if they had the chance, now that they had personally witnessed the tyrannical strength of Di Beichen and his wife, they had already completely erased this thought from their minds. What kind of joke was this? With such a strong strength, it was impossible to deal with them. The leaders of the various forces walked over one after another and cupped their hands to apologize to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Young Sect Master Di, Young Palace Master Bailey, thank you very much for your help today. Sect Master Situ, Lan Family Head, you are really lucky. If there is a place where we are needed in the future, we will definitely rush over at the first moment. Hearing this familiar sentence, Wen Jinghui snorted coldly. He would no longer believe these words. Among them, a few familiar leaders of the various forces smiled awkwardly. Even if they were smiling, one could feel the hesitation and helplessness in their hearts. After offending such an expert, it was really difficult to eat and sleep in peace. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to Tiangang sect, they did not immediately set off for Penglai Island. After the incident with Shen Yaoyang, everyone felt that it was safer to first clarify the matter before leaving. If another person related to them appeared after they left, wouldn't the world be in chaos again? Taking advantage of this time, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen also made a trip to Limitless Palace. Thinking back, Bailey Hongzhuang also stayed in Limitless Palace for a while and made a lot of friends here. Although when she first arrived, her identity was criticized, fortunately, all the rumors were put to rest. Reappearing in Limitless Palace again, the elders and cultivators were extremely welcoming. Have you heard? Our young palace master is a nebulous stage 8 existence. So many sect masters aren't his match. The young palace master has always been so powerful. I heard that the young sect master is coming back this time to select some cultivators to go and gain experience. This is a good opportunity, everyone has to seize it. The entire Limitless Palace was in full swing after this news was spread. Almost all the disciples were discussing this matter. They were thinking about how to perform well so that they wouldn't miss this good opportunity. Hong Zhuang, which disciples do you plan to choose this time? Nangong Wu laughed lightly. Going to Penglai Island, I'm afraid there can't be too many people, right? Bailey Hong Zhuang nodded. The practitioners on Penglai Island are all very powerful. If the practitioners who go there are too weak, it will be difficult for them to develop even if they have someone to protect them. Therefore, we mainly choose practitioners who have reached the Purple Realm. Nangong Wu smiled and said, however, there are not many cultivators who can cultivate to the Purple Realm. Some elders can take advantage of this opportunity to gain experience. Mistress, since you're so familiar with this situation, I'll leave it to you. Chapter 5635. After discussing with Bewitching this time, Bailey Hongzhuang made the decision to select some cultivators from each force to go to Penglai Island. At the same time, they would distribute some of the cultivation resources they brought back to each force, hoping that more cultivators would be able to advance to the Purple Realm and above. In this way, as everyone's strength steadily increased, they would be able to slowly develop even in the Upper Realm. Although it would take a long time, as long as they could achieve this result, it was not a big deal to spend a long time. Since the elders can also go, then the choice is a lot bigger. Nangong Wu was in high spirits. I'll make the arrangements right now. Oh right, Hongzhuang, you're the young palace master after all. This time, you finally came back. Why don't you open a small lecture hall? Now that everyone is very curious about your situation, it's good to introduce them to encourage them to work hard in their cultivation. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned at first, then she smiled helplessly. I understand. Master, I think that if you have nothing to do in the future, it's not bad to be a teacher. Xiaohei could not help but tease. Every time Master opened a lecture hall, she would be very popular. Bailey Hongzhuang reached out and flicked Xiaohei's forehead. You're quite bold, you even dare to tease Master. Hee occasionally. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded. Master, did you miss me? Hearing this funny voice, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching looked at each other, and a smile appeared in their eyes. Xiao Xuanzi, you're finally out. Xiao Xuanzi had been in seclusion before. This guy was always noisy when he was around. They were not used to his absence during this period of time. Master, I knew you missed me. Xiao Xuanzi looked proud, flapped his wings and came in front of Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang patted Xiao Xuanzi's head and suddenly said, didn't you say that you won't come out until you've cultivated to the point where you can transform into a human? Could it be that he has already succeeded? Speaking of which, she was really looking forward to Xiao Xuanzi's appearance after he transformed into a human. This guy was obviously a little perverted beast. If his looks were ordinary, then it would be fine. But if he was really handsome and elegant, then he would really be busy with his love affairs in the future. Xiao Xuanzi's expression froze slightly, then he shook his head and said, no, I came out first because I missed you guys. A trace of disappointment flashed through her beautiful pitch-black eyes before they brightened again. You're the one who's the most talkative. Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai looked at Xiao Xuanzi who was acting cute in front of them and could not help but curl their lips. In my opinion, you came out because you encountered a bottleneck in your cultivation and could not improve, right? Nonsense. Xiao Xuanzi immediately retorted, I'm such a genius, how could I possibly encounter a bottleneck? Xiao Bai said. At this time, Bai Li Yanche and Linger also came out. Yanche, tell us quickly. Is what Xiao Xuanzi said true? Xiao Hei saw Bai Li Yanche appear, and her eyes immediately lit up. She quickly jumped onto him and asked curiously. Yanche. Xiao Xuanzi hurriedly called out and gave him a look. Bai Li Yanche faced everyone's different gazes, and the corner of his mouth moved, Then he said, "Let Xiao Xuanzi say this kind of thing himself." Chapter 5636. Seeing that Bai Li Yanche's words had a hidden meaning, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but become curious, and they all turned to look at Xiao Xuanzi. It seemed that the situation wasn't as simple as Xiao Xuanzi said. "Xiao Xuanzi, what's the situation? You'd better tell us honestly." Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Normally, this little guy was lively and fearless all day long. Being so shy today was really not in line with his style. She didn't know what was going on. "Actually, it's really nothing. I'm just a little lazy, right, Linga?" Xiao Xuanzi turned his hope to Linga. Bai Li Yanche, that hateful guy. He had already asked for help before, but this guy still didn't have the slightest intention of covering up for him after coming out. Seeing that Xiao Xuanzi actually asked Linger to cover up for him, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were even more surprised. One had to know that Linger was the one who was the least likely to cover up for others. Sure enough, Linger spoke. "It has already cultivated to the nebula realm." Clang. Xiao Xuanzi was petrified. He looked at Linger in disbelief. He originally thought that Bai Li Yanche was already very disloyal for not covering up for him. Linger, on the other hand, completely sold him out the moment she opened her mouth. Linger's expression was very calm. "I'm just telling the truth." Xiao Xuanzi covered his face. "Xiao Xuanzi, breaking through to the nebula realm is a good thing. Why can't you say it?" Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and looked at Xiao Xuanzi suspiciously. A guess had already appeared in her mind. "Xiao Xuanzi, you wouldn't be like us, unable to transform into a human even after breaking through to the nebula realm, right?" Xiao Hei's eyes lit up, and she quickly thought of this possibility. It and Xiao Bai were currently unable to transform at all. Previously, Xiao Xuanzi had been using this to tease them. If Xiao Xuanzi was unable to do it now, then it would be interesting. Hearing this, Xiao Xuanzi paused for a moment, then slowly nodded and said, "More or less. My situation is similar to yours. Your attitude is a little perfunctory." Bewitching looked at Xiao Xuanzi, whose attitude was ambiguous, and suddenly chuckled. "Could it be that your image after the transformation is not good-looking?" Bailey Hongzhuang also said, "It can't be an ugly person, right?" After noticing Xiao Xuanzi's strange behavior, such a thought had already appeared in her mind. After all, previously, Xiao Xuanzi had always hoped that after he broke through to the nebula realm, he would be able to transform into a handsome man. Logically speaking, if he succeeded, he would definitely be impatient to tell everyone about this situation. However, now that he was so hesitant, perhaps some changes had occurred in the situation. As soon as these words came out, Xiao Xuanzi seemed to have been poked in a sore spot. The entire beast jumped up and hurriedly flapped its wings. That's not the case. However, no one paid attention to Xiao Xuanzi's refutation. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching looked at each other, and a playful smile appeared on their faces at the same time. As expected of Xiao Xuanzi's master, you guessed it right. Ling slowly said. This sentence was like a heavy hammer that settled everything. Even if Xiao Xuanzi wanted to refute, looking at everyone's expression, it understood that its refutation had no meaning. It was exposed. He had been completely exposed. Ha ha. Chapter 5637. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching also couldn't help but laugh. The corners of their lips twitched slightly, and their eyes were full of smiles. They remembered that Xiao Xuanzi had been fantasizing about replacing Bai Li Yanche to stop the crazy bees and butterflies. Now it seemed that this plan was ruined. No wonder this little guy was not as naughty as he used to be. This incident must have been a big blow to him. Xiao Xuanzi, did you really become ugly after transforming into a human? Xiao Bai looked at Xiao Xuanzi seriously after laughing and asked. Nonsense. Xiao Xuanzi quickly denied. I'm not an ugly freak. Are you serious? Why don't you transform into a human and let us see it now? Xiao Hei looked doubtful. It said that like master, like contracted beast. Just by looking at my master's appearance, you can tell that my appearance is definitely not bad. Don't slander me. Xiao Xuanzi looked unconvinced, and his wings directly pointed at Bewitching. Seeing that Xiao Xuanzi suddenly shifted the topic to himself, Bewitching was slightly startled, and said, "This matter has nothing to do with me." "Master, you're not giving me face." Bewitching chuckled, touched Xiao Xuanzi's head, and said, "Don't keep us in suspense. Show us what you look like. We won't dislike you. Actually, I'm really not ugly. I'm just a little fat." As soon as he said that, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching immediately understood. The two carefully looked at Xiao Xuanzi's current body shape. After transforming into a human, such a situation was indeed possible. "You're just a little fat. It's nothing at all." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "We're all on the same side. We won't mind. Just show us." Absolutely not." Xiao Xuanzi refused without hesitation. "I want to lose weight. I'll show you after I've lost weight." Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other. They knew that this little guy had always been very concerned about this, so they did not continue to ask. "Then we'll be waiting to see your handsome appearance." "No problem. Just wait patiently," Xiao Xuanzi said proudly. After little Xuanzi left, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and asked, "Yanche, how fat is little Xuanzi?" "You are indeed a little fat." Bai Li Yanche shrugged, his eyes full of smiles. "With Xiao Xuanzi's gluttonous nature, I'm afraid it will be a little difficult for him to lose weight." Bewitching pondered, because this guy just said that he wanted to lose weight, and now he had already gone out to eat. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded with a heavy expression. "What you said makes sense." Although Xiao He and Xiao Bai had been pestering Xiao Xuanzi to see his true appearance, Xiao Xuanzi had always stuck to his bottom line and was unwilling to transform into a human no matter what. Even when Xiao He took out her favorite pig trotter as bait, it did not succeed. In these few days, the impact caused by Shen Yaoyang's appearance had dissipated, and the ancient profound sect was removed from the Shengxian continent. The other forces also began to eagerly contact the Tiangang sect and the Cloud Sword sect, wanting to get closer to each other. Regarding this, Si-Tu Yen did not refuse. They would soon head to the Penglai Island, and temporarily could not oversee the sect. Building a good relationship with the other forces was also a good choice. Chapter 5638. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching took advantage of this time to go to Shirtian Pavilion. This time, Mo Yunjue did not come back and only asked them to deliver the letter. They naturally kept this matter in mind. Shirtian Pavilion had always been an extremely mysterious existence among the many forces in Shengxian continent. However, with the improvement of their cultivation, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching were no longer as dangerous as before. When Shirtian Pavilion's master saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching, he was extremely surprised. However, when he saw the familiar handwriting on the letter, his expression suddenly changed. After thanking them, he did not say anything else. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching did not stay for long. They did not know the situation of Shirtian Pavilion, but since Yunju was not willing to come back, he must have his reasons. What should be done was done. As for the rest, Yunju must have his own plans. However, the two did not expect that when they were about to leave Shirtian Pavilion's sphere of influence, Shirtian Pavilion's master would appear in front of them again. Looking at Shirtian Pavilion's master in front of them, the two looked at each other with some doubts in their hearts. "I know that the two of you are nobles. I ask the two of you to take care of Yunju." Hearing this, the two of them were slightly stunned. Then they nodded and said, "Rest assured, Pavilion Master. We are good friends. We will definitely support each other." "That's good. I am relieved." After walking for a while, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but say, "In the past, I heard that Shirtian Pavilion's master has a very strange personality. He is bloodthirsty and cruel. However, today, it seems that this is not the case." Shirtian Pavilion was a very terrifying force for many cultivators. This place seemed to be shrouded in darkness. Everything was mysterious and hidden. For Mo Yunjue to be able to possess such outstanding strength at such a young age, it went without saying that he cultivated extremely hard. The Heaven Slaughter Pavilion's cruel methods of training cultivators were extremely famous. It was unknown if he, as the young pavilion master, had also experienced all of this. Even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. Perhaps Shirtion Pavilion's master is perverse and cruel, but after all, he is his son. He still has concerns. Di Baichen said slowly. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. Perhaps there is some misunderstanding between Yunju and Shirtion Pavilion's master. That is why he is unwilling to come back this time. When we go back, we can tell Yunju about this situation. After everything was ready, Bailey Hongzhuang's group did not delay and went to Penglai Island in groups. A group of disciples began to move under the lead of the elders, while Bailey Hongzhuang and the others took the lead. And Shirtion Pavilion's master's Shirtion Pavilion. But there are a lot of people here, Shirtion Pavilions. And Hongzhuang's Hongstian Bing. Mu was also Lingwas. Tian Hongzhe. Mu Ling Bing also found it strange. Hongzhuang, why don't you bring some people over first and split into two groups? Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. No need, let's go together. But this flying car can't fit at all. Could it be that this flying car can become bigger? Nangong Wu carefully sized up the flying car in front of her. The treasures of the upper realm had infinite possibilities. Perhaps it would have such a special effect. That's not it. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. I'm going to take you there in another way. Chapter 5639. In front of him was a huge black and white palace. At first glance, it gave off a grand and majestic feeling. Taking a closer look at the patterns on the building, he could feel its powerful foundation. After a short moment of shock, everyone was even more curious about why they had appeared in this place. Hongzhuang, where is this place? Lan Yunxiao was shocked. In the blink of an eye, they had appeared in another place. This was simply too unbelievable. This shouldn't be your secret, right? Yu Linfeng suddenly asked. Just like his stairway to heaven, it was an independent space that was different from the outside world. All of them had suddenly appeared in another place. It was impossible for them to have teleported. The biggest possibility was that they had entered another space. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. Master, you're so smart. Once she said this, everyone was slightly startled. Then they all understood. I knew that you must have a secret for your strength to increase so quickly. I didn't expect it to be such a big secret. Nangong Wu chuckled, but she was more concerned. This palace looks unusual. You can't tell anyone about this so easily. Mistress, don't worry. I understand. Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was warm. Actually, not many people know about this. I'm only telling you now. Previously, she was too weak. Once the existence of the Chaos Ring was known, it would be very difficult for her to protect it. Now that her strength had gradually increased, she could be a little more at ease. Moreover, everyone in front of her was her family. They could be completely trusted, so she did not need to worry. Compared to the joy of Si Tuyen and the others, Wen Jinghui's feelings were undoubtedly the most complicated. The others were Hongzhuang's family, but he was not at that level. However, just by looking at Xiren and Shangguan Yingying's habitual expressions, he knew that these two little guys already knew about it. While he was sighing, he also felt a little gratified. The friendship between these little fellows was really extraordinarily stable. Don't worry, I will definitely not leak this news, Wen Jinghui said. Hearing this, everyone turned their gazes. After noticing Wen Jinghui's serious expression, everyone could not help but smile at each other. Sect Master Wen, we all believe in you. Xiren and Shangguan Yingying also had smiles on their faces. My father is absolutely trustworthy in this regard. Because the flying car can't fit all of us, we'll stay here for the time being. We'll leave when we reach Penglai Island, Bailey Hongzhuang said. She had already thought of this problem when she was preparing to set off. He didn't have to keep this a secret from his loved ones. I see. No problem. Lan Yunxiao nodded. This place is more suitable for cultivation. We'll reach Penglai Island in a few days. Di Baichen steered the flying car towards Penglai Island, while Bailey Hongzhuang led everyone on a tour around the Chaos Ring. In the end, everyone chose a place to cultivate in peace. At present, Everyone was wholeheartedly hoping to increase their cultivation bases as soon as possible. After all, the pressure of heading to the upper plane was considerable. Increasing their cultivation bases by just a little bit would allow them to feel more at ease. Chapter 5640. Going to Penglai Island again, Bewitching was undoubtedly familiar with the road. The flying car had become his magic tool, and he could control it easily. The people on the ground only saw something flying through the air, but they didn't know what it was. The elders rushed to Penglai Island with the cultivators, and their speed was undoubtedly much slower. However, everyone's heart was full of excitement, especially after seeing the powerful strength of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. They were full of yearning for Penglai Island. To a cultivator, there was nothing more exciting than strength. At this moment, Xia Jiqing, Bai Junyu, and Dongfang Yu were sitting together on the flying magic tool. The three of them were also very curious about all this. Hongzhuang, does the upper realm have many things that the lower realm doesn't have? This flying car is very amazing. I haven't even heard of it before, let alone seen it. Xia Jiqing's face was full of curiosity. After learning about a more powerful and mysterious world, they were not worried about the future, but longing and yearning. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it and nodded. In some ways, yes. In fact, the difference between the upper realm and the lower realm is not big, but the things there are more comprehensive. In the lower realm, the most prominent thing is alchemy. In the upper realm, alchemy, inscription, forging, array, and so on are very good. The same is true for cultivation methods. There is a more comprehensive way of cultivation that can help cultivators improve their cultivation. Hearing this, Bai Junyu and the others were all excited and couldn't help but look forward to it. Listening to you, I am even more looking forward to the upper realm. Xia Jiqing rubbed her hands and smiled. Penglai Island is also a very challenging place. I believe you will have a lot of rewards here. With the flying magic tool, even if the distance was far, they still arrived quickly. This time, because they were more familiar with the path, their speed was faster. 7 days later, everyone successfully arrived at Penglai Island. Everyone looked at the islands in front of them, and there was surprise and emotion in their eyes. It turns out that this is Penglai Island. There are really many islands. Xia Jiqing couldn't help but sigh. The edge of the island was surrounded by clouds and mist, and it looked like a fairyland from a distance. She had only seen such a place in her dreams. She had never thought that it would actually exist. What a magical place! Dongfang Yu's eyebrows rose slightly, his handsome face revealing a pleasantly surprised expression. Sure enough, this place is different from the outside world. It's even more mystical with just a glance. Looking at the appearance of Xia Jiqing and the others, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. When they first came to Penglai Island, they also had the same feeling. However, at that time, they were being chased all the way and did not have the leisure to appreciate all of this. They only thought that it would be good enough if they could safely escape. When Bailey Hongzhuang and her group appeared on Penglai Island again, everyone's eyes fell on them. It had to be said that Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching were extremely conspicuous. After the previous battle on the Scarlet Moon Island, the strength of the two of them made everyone understand how powerful they were and how they could not fight against them. Now that the two had appeared again, it was no surprise that they would attract everyone's attention. Chapter 5641. Why are there so many people around Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching? Also, these people look unfamiliar. These people must be coming to Penglai Island for the first time. Don't tell me they brought their relatives here? That's too much. Penglai Island is not a place that just anyone can come to. One of the cultivators frowned. They had all come to Penglai Island because their strength had reached the standard. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching had brought all their relatives here without a second thought. That was too inappropriate. Hearing the man's words, the person next to him patted his head and said, "Do you want to die? Speak softly." Even if Bailey Hongzhuang and the others broke the rules, so what? Even sect leader Yuan of the Crimson Moon sect was no match for her. She can bring whoever she wants here. Everyone looked at each other. Even though this situation made them speechless, no one dared to say anything. Who asked the other party to be so powerful? In everyone's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang was more powerful than the sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect. Unless you were more powerful than her, you would be courting death. Moreover, there was still Di Baichen. Even though Di Baichen did not make a move at that time, everyone knew that Di Baichen was more powerful than Bailey Hongzhuang. On top of that, this guy was undoubtedly protective of his wife. No one was willing to offend Bailey Hongzhuang. Mu Lingbing looked around Penglai Island with a faint smile on her beautiful face. It's really lively here. But, Hongzhuang, why do I feel like everyone here knows you? Even though they were far away and she could not hear the discussions clearly, she could still vaguely hear Hongzhuang and Baichen's names. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. She looked around, and the cultivators who were originally sizing them up immediately retracted their gazes, not daring to look again. Because we used to be inner palace disciples of the Penglai Palace, everyone is more familiar with us. That's right. Besides, Hongzhuang and the others are so outstanding. It's normal for everyone to know them. Nangong Wu was very optimistic. With the combination of Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichen, no matter where they appeared, they would definitely attract attention. Let's go to the Penglai Palace first. The sect master and Lord Long are very familiar with us. When the elders and disciples arrive, we will have to rely on them to take care of us, Di Baichen said slowly. Sidu Yen nodded. Indeed, we should settle everyone down first. Only then can we leave with peace of mind. When Bai Tsangming, Long Yanwei, and the others heard that Bailey Hongzhuang had returned, they immediately came out to welcome her. As they already knew the purpose of Bailey Hongzhuang and Long Yanwei's return, Bai Tsangming and Long Yanwei were not surprised to see so many people. Hongzhuang, you're here? Hall Master Bai, we'll have to trouble you again, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. We're already so familiar with each other. Why are you still being so courteous? Bai Tsangming waved his hand, as if saying that they were on the same side and there was no need to be courteous with him. After everyone sat down to rest, Di Baichen said, Hall Master, we really have something to ask of you this time. Chapter 5642. While Bailey Hongzhuang and Long Yanwei were conversing with Bai Tsangming, Si Dian and the others were sizing him up. When they entered the Penglai Palace, they knew that the Penglai Palace was a very large sect. Along the way, they felt that the cultivators' auras were all in the purple realm. Some of the cultivators' auras even made them feel dangerous. As a palace master whose basic disciple was at the purple realm, he must be an extremely powerful existence. Now, the palace master's attitude towards Hongzhuang was actually so polite. They could not help but feel proud. Our clan's cultivators will arrive in a few days. At that time, I hope that the palace master can take care of them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. She understood that the cultivators who came this time might not be as powerful as the cultivators from Penglai Palace. However, as long as the palace master was willing to take care of them, there would be no problem. If they stayed here, they naturally did not need to worry at all. No one would provoke them. However, they would be heading to the upper realm very soon. At that time, they would need someone to take care of them. Since they had brought them here, they had to be responsible. Bai Tsangming also understood when he heard that. He originally thought that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to bring everyone to the upper realm. He did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang had such a plan. From the looks of it, Bailey Hongzhuang still had her own forces outside. It was because it was inconvenient to bring the entire clan over that she made such an arrangement. Both Bai Tsangming and Long Yanwei understood Bailey Hongzhuang's overall plan. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to bring the entire clan to become powerful. She even wanted to move the entire clan to the upper realm. Although this plan seemed very shocking now, it was not impossible to implement it in detail. Don't worry. Leave this matter to me. Bai Tsangming agreed without hesitation. He was actually not worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would have a request. On the contrary, he was worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would not have a request. With the current status of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, they would definitely be extremely terrifying existences in the future. There was absolutely no harm in being on good terms with such people. Thank you, Palace Master Bai. Seeing that Bai Tsangming agreed so readily, Bailey Hongzhuang also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. A relaxed smile appeared on her face. You're welcome. With our friendship, this is only a small matter. Palace Master Bai, actually, we also understand that the cultivators from our clan are not as strong as the other disciples. So when the time comes, it will inevitably cause some trouble. Bai Tsangming chuckled. Hongzhuang, you're overthinking this matter. Actually, as long as they know that they are your people, they will not be blind. Bai Tsangming and Long Yanwei, he's and Yanwei's Hongzhuang and Hongzhuang Yanwei's and Yanwei's. If you don't worry. And the Hongzhuang Yu, Yanwei's Yu. Tsangming Yu. You. You. May. Some. Chapter 56-43. This time, she brought the cultivators of her family to improve their cultivation. The dangers during the experience were inevitable. This kind of risk was naturally borne by them. She wanted to take care of them so that what happened in Penglai Palace would not happen to her own cultivators. At that time, they were also very lucky. If there were more cultivators, then even they would not be able to save their lives. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang understood, Bai Tsangming's smile became more and more cheerful. That's good, then I can rest assured. In short, you can rest assured that after they come to Penglai Palace, I will definitely give them the treatment of the inner hall disciples. In addition, I will also send people to ensure their safety in the palace. With your name, I think the average disciples will not come to touch the bad luck. As for the risks encountered during the experience, it will depend on them. Thank you. After all this was determined, Xia Jiqing and the other two had also arranged their accommodation. Although the other cultivators had not yet arrived, the accommodation had been uniformly divided. At that time, everyone would live here together. You can receive cultivation resources every month, and at the same time, you can do some other tasks to earn points in exchange for resources. Bailey Hongzhuang introduced the situation of Penglai Palace to Xia Jiqing and the other two. The others have not arrived yet. You can familiarize yourself with the situation for a while, and then tell everyone the situation. Xia Jiqing and the others nodded slightly. Understood. If there is anything you don't understand or are not satisfied with, you can tell me. I will arrange everything before you leave. Xia Jiqing and the other two looked at each other, and then shook their heads. Hongzhuang, I think it's already very good here. Xia Jiqing looked satisfied. The power here is very rich, and the cultivation should be much faster than before. The most important thing is that you can receive so many cultivation resources every month. Spirit stones are very helpful for cultivation. I finally understand why your cultivation speed is so fast. Here, your cultivation speed is really much faster. The cultivators I encountered along the way are all very formidable. I get the feeling that this place is already a completely different world. I wonder what the upper plane will be like? I am looking forward to it. Bai Junyu rubbed his hands, his sunny face filled with longing. Beichen Hongzhuang, we will definitely work hard to improve our cultivation and strive to join you in the upper realm as soon as possible. Dongfang, the girls here are not only beautiful, but they are also not weak. You should take a look. Xia Jiqing teased. Along the way, she had noticed that many girls were interested in the East. That's right, this can indeed be developed. Bai Junyu agreed. Dongfang Yu looked at the two gossipy people in front of him. How come I didn't realize that you two had the potential to be matchmakers? Aren't we just worried that you'll die alone? Don't worry, I won't. The news that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others brought their relatives to Penglai Island quickly spread. For a time, everyone was curious about their relatives. Even more people couldn't help but feel envious. This was the privilege of the strong. Chapter 56-44. When a man achieves the Tao, all his friends and family will ascend to heaven. This must be the case. I have to say that Hongzhuang is really capable. Bai Tsangming looked emotional. The D family is also an extremely powerful force in the upper realm. I was originally worried that she would be wronged in the D family, but now it seems that it's not the case at all. Bailey Hongzhuang could bring her family to the upper realm. This was definitely because the D family valued her very much. Otherwise, it would definitely be impossible. Hongzhuang has a very strong tenacity. This tenacity is a very precious quality for cultivators, but very few people have it. I think that someone like her can survive well no matter where she is. Long Yanwei smiled, and his voice was filled with certainty and confidence. Although I don't know how Hongzhuang did all this, I admit that what you said makes sense. Bai Tsangming nodded in agreement. I think you also want to go to the upper realm to take a look. Hearing this, Long Yanwei was slightly stunned. Why are you suddenly talking about this? I know that you've been staying here to help me. Now that the Penglai Palace's position is stable, if you want to go to the upper realm, then go to the upper realm. If you really want to go to the upper realm, then go. I don't want you to stop your own development because of me. Bai Tsangming's expression was serious. There was some reluctance in his deep eyes, but there was also a kind of tranquility. Long Yanwei looked deeply at Bai Tsangming and then smiled. With our friendship, how can it be considered stopping my development? Moreover, I promised Qian that I would help you strengthen the Penglai Palace. I know that you've been helping me because of Qian, but so much time has passed. It's time for you to let go of this heavy responsibility. Bai Tsangming patted Long Yanwei's shoulder, and his black eyes were filled with emotion. If it weren't for your help, the Penglai Palace wouldn't have developed to its current scale. Back then, when the three forces were in a balance of power, the Penglai Palace was not the most outstanding. It was precisely because Long Yanwei was a sealing master and the temptation of these contract beasts that so many outstanding cultivators were attracted here. Now that the Penglai Palace had become the pinnacle existence among the three major forces, countless cultivators wanted to enter this place. There was no need to worry about this problem. I'm actually doing pretty well here. Long Yanwei smiled faintly. Don't think too much. I've long treated Penglai Palace as my home. Because they had just arrived at Penglai Island, Mu Lingbing and the others were curious about the situation here. Therefore, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others weren't in a hurry to leave. Instead, they brought everyone around Penglai Island for a tour. This Penglai Island is truly very lively. I hope that the elders will be able to get used to this place after they arrive. Mu Lingbing smiled as she surveyed her surroundings. Although the elders were usually working hard on their cultivation, they could not help but spend some of their energy on the family. Now that he had come to a place where he could concentrate on cultivation, he might feel a little uncomfortable. Don't worry, their adaptability isn't bad. Sidu Yen smiled faintly. Although they were not young anymore, it was precisely because they were not young that they were more serious in their cultivation. Only when one's cultivation was stronger would one's lifespan be longer. Everyone hoped to live longer. There are many new things on Penglai Island. Mother, if you're interested, you can look around here and buy whatever you like, Bewitching said with a smile. Even though he had already married Hongzhuang, he still had to coax his mother-in-law well. Chapter 5645. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching were about to tour Penglai Island with everyone, someone suddenly came to inform them of a piece of news. Young Master D, Miss Bailey, the Palace Master sent me to inform you that the sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect would like to see you. Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching were shocked when they heard that. After they had dealt with the sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect, they did not take this matter to heart. They did not expect the sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect to come and ask for an audience today. It seems that the Crimson Moon sect is quite fast. They already have a new sect leader. Bewitching raised his eyebrows as his lips curled into a playful smile. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. The Crimson Moon sect is a big sect after all. Although the Crimson Moon sect has been slightly affected after the first incident, their strength is probably weaker than before. However, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. They definitely do not want to be destroyed just like that. Therefore, they are supporting a new sect leader as soon as possible. This is the only way to stabilize the hearts of the people. Although she had only killed the sect leader, an elder, and a teacher, the three of them were extremely important to the Crimson Moon sect. It was obvious that the Crimson Moon sect had gone through a huge upheaval and had only just stabilized. If I'm not wrong, the new sect leader is probably worried that we will cause trouble, so he specially came to greet us first. Bewitching nodded. I'm afraid that many people in the Crimson Moon sect have not been able to eat or sleep well since the day we returned. After Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching returned to Penglai Palace, Bai Songming and Long Yanwei were already waiting for them. You're back. Bai Songming was delighted. The new sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect is here to see you. Tell us about the new sect leader first. The Crimson Moon sect has been divided into two factions. As the original sect leader was killed, the new sect leader's faction rose. He took the opportunity to overthrow the other faction and became the new sect leader. This new sect master is called Pei Yuan. His evaluation is not bad, but he has been suppressed previously. If you didn't kill the previous sect master, he probably wouldn't have stood out, Bai Songming introduced. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, her heart also understood. If there were two factions, then this would be the best time for them to rise. This Pei Yuan shouldn't be as ridiculous as the previous sect master, right? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Bai Songming was shocked when he heard the word absurd, but he quickly understood what Bailey Hongzhuang meant. Pei Yuan did not condone the cultivators bullying others. Although he has not been in office for long, everyone's comments about him are quite good. Furthermore, he does not have any bad habits. Instead, he changed some of the rules of the Crimson Moon sect and paid more attention to the character of the cultivators. In my opinion, you have your reasons for doing this. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. No matter what the reason is, it's good that he has restrained himself. If that's the case, let's go and take a look. Bailey Hongzhuang turned to look at Bewitching. Sure. Bewitching smiled. The Crimson Moon sect seemed to have an inexplicable and ill-fated relationship with them. Ever since they came to Penglai Island, the cultivators of the Crimson Moon sect had been in conflict with them. Chapter 56-46. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching saw Pei Yuan, they realized that he was unexpectedly young. He looked like he was in his 30s. He was indeed quite capable to become the new sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect. Miss Bailey, Master D. Seeing the two of them, Pei Yuan hurriedly stood up and bowed to them. If others saw this, they would be surprised that the sect leader would bow to the two young people. However, Pei Yuan did not find it strange at all. If the two of them were willing, Penglai Island would definitely be under their control. However, the two of them had not done so because they did not care about it. Sect leader Pei, you're too kind. Bewitching's voice was gentle and there was no expression on his calm face. It was this appearance that made Pei Yuan even more fearful. He had long heard that the two of them were extremely powerful. Today, although the two of them did not deliberately release their auras, he could clearly feel the difference between the two of them. Moreover, he had angered the two of them time and time again. Today, he was already trembling with fear. Now that he saw the serious Bewitching, he could not help but feel worried. Actually, I'm here today to apologize to the two of you for what happened previously. It was our fault for doing such a thing. Pei Yuan bowed deeply and his face was filled with guilt. Thank you for your forgiveness. I represent the entire Crimson Moon sect's cultivators to apologize to the two of you. Seeing Pei Yuan's actions, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching looked at each other and there was less disgust in their eyes. In fact, they would not condemn everyone. The previous incident might not have been related to Pei Yuan. Sect leader Pei, it's all in the past. You don't have to keep it in your heart. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice rang out. I've already said what happened previously. The grudge is over and I won't blame you for it. However, if something like this happens again in the future, don't blame me for making the entire Crimson Moon sect disappear. Hearing the cold warning in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Pei Yuan quivered and hurriedly nodded. Don't worry, Miss Bailey. I won't let something like this happen again. If something like this happens again, there's no need for you to do anything. I'll commit suicide to atone for my sins. Pei Yuan's expression was serious. He looked at Bailey Hongzhuang fearlessly, revealing his confidence. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. That's good. I heard that your family members have also come to Penglai Island. If you have the chance, you are welcome to visit the Crimson Moon sect. I guarantee that no one in the Crimson Moon sect will be disrespectful to them. There's no need for that. We've already arranged for them to stay in the Penglai Palace. If there is anything that the Crimson Moon sect can do for you, it would be our honor, Pei Yuan said once again. I hope that you can manage the Crimson Moon sect well and not allow the cultivators to do as they please. I definitely will. Pei Yuan heaved a sigh of relief after he left. Actually, he had been extremely nervous to come here today. However, he had no choice but to come. Fortunately, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were not as unapproachable as he had imagined. On the contrary, they gave him an amiable feeling and did not make things difficult for him. Thinking about it, he was extremely grateful to Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. Chapter 5647. After everyone stayed on Penglai Island for a while, Xia Jiqing's group of 3 took advantage of this opportunity to gain a better understanding of Penglai Island. Although they basically stayed on Penglai Island and didn't go to other islands, they were already familiar with the environment of Penglai Island. As long as their strength improved, they could go to other islands. Among them, Demon Refining Island was the place they were looking forward to. On this day, Bailey Hongzhuang's group was ready to set off. Jiqing, I'll leave the matters here to you. Bailey Hongzhuang held Xia Jiqing's hand, her bright face full of reluctance. I hope you can improve your strength as soon as possible. When the time comes, I'll come to pick you up. Don't worry, when everyone arrives, we'll definitely pick them up as soon as possible. During this time, we've also understood the situation here. When the time comes, we'll tell them one by one. You can rest assured. Xia Jiqing smiled and nodded. We'll definitely not give up on our cultivation. I hope we can go to the upper realm and meet up with you soon. Then we'll wait for you in the upper realm. Di Beichen looked at Dongfang Yu's group of 3. Just wait, our speed is very fast. Dongfang Yu smiled, his expression relaxed and indifferent. We'll be looking forward to it. After explaining everything, Bai Tsangming and Long Yanwei also came to send them off. Although they didn't know how long they would be gone this time, everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's group would return after Xia Jiqing's group's strength improved. Have a safe trip. Bai Tsangming smiled. Take care. As soon as his voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang's group didn't stay any longer and directly entered the transmission array. If they wanted to go to the upper realm, they still had to pass through the training grounds and arrive at the transmission array. When Lan Yunxiao and the others arrived at the training grounds, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts when they saw the scene of death everywhere. This kind of death aura seeped out from every corner, and there wasn't the slightest bit of vitality. It was shocking. This is the training grounds? Situ Yen frowned. It's so lifeless, without the slightest bit of vitality. There's actually such a place. Di Beichen nodded slightly. When they first came to the place of experience, they were also full of shock, but now looking at all this again, they had long become accustomed to it. Moreover, as someone of the darkness attribute, he felt even more intimate with this. This is the place where the skeletons gather. Only cultivators would come here to train. Normally, no one else would come here. Bailey Hongzhuang explained. However, this training ground is filled with endless risks. It is very safe during the day, but once night falls, the skeleton army will appear. Every night, there would be cultivators dying in the hands of the skeletons. However, it was precisely because the size of the skeleton army was not small that they needed to be exterminated. In order to ensure everyone's safety, the 3 great powers set up this place as a training ground. Hearing this, Situ Yen and the others immediately understood the painstaking efforts of the 3 forces. It turns out that the 3 major forces are actually shouldering such a responsibility. How admirable! When Jingwei's eyes were filled with admiration and admiration. He had never seen the skeleton's true strength, but the cultivators from the upper realm were so powerful, yet they were still filled with fear of this place. Just from this point alone, he could determine how terrifying the skeleton was. Chapter 5648. Lan Yunxiao and the others all nodded. Experts often shouldered responsibilities that others didn't understand. Because of this matter, they had a trace of admiration for the three great factions. It's quite dangerous here. It'll take us a few days to reach the transportation array. Moreover, there's a mysterious force here that prevents flying vehicles from flying. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly spoke and turned to Situ Yen. Grandfather, do you all want to enter the Chaos Ring? Hearing this, Situ Yen and the others immediately understood. It seemed that this training ground wasn't an ordinary place of danger. Even with Bewitching's strength, they were worried that they would be in danger. Since we've come to this training ground, let's take a look. Situ Yen spoke, then looked at the others. What do you all think? I'm fine with it. Wen Jingwei was the first to speak. He originally liked training grounds, so he wasn't afraid of any kind of danger. It was his first time seeing this mysterious training ground, so he naturally wasn't willing to miss it. Moreover, his son had been training here for so long. How could he, as his father, be lax? I also agree. Yu Linfeng quickly followed. I agree. Instantly, the others expressed their agreement. Everyone wanted to see what was different about this place that they had never seen before. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other and didn't refuse. The current training ground wasn't as dangerous to them as before. The reason why they suggested for everyone to enter the Chaos Ring was because they were worried that a sudden hole would appear and they wouldn't be able to dodge in time. If anything happened, it was clearly something they didn't want to see. However, since the elders wanted to take a look, they naturally wouldn't refuse. They just had to be a little more careful. The cultivators in the trial grounds noticed that Bailey Hongzhuang and her family had appeared here. They were also very curious in their hearts. They did not understand why they would appear here with their families. Look, isn't that Bailey Hongzhuang's group? I didn't expect them to come to the training ground. Have you forgotten? Previously, when Bailey Hongzhuang's group appeared, they were also in the training ground. Now that they're here, I feel like there's some secret in this training ground that we don't know about. Do you want to follow and take a look? Do you want to die? Even though everyone was curious about Bailey Hongzhuang's group, no one dared to get close for fear of angering them. Such a powerhouse was not someone they could afford to provoke. Mu Lingbing and the others sighed as they listened to the discussions of the cultivators around them. From the moment they arrived at Penglai Island, they had already understood how powerful Bailey Hongzhuang's people were in everyone's eyes. All the practitioners were respectful to them, which made them very proud. Everyone quickened their pace and quickly approached the teleportation array. As time passed, night gradually fell. When the entire training ground was shrouded in darkness, Lan Yunxiao and the rest felt their hearts sink for no reason. A stifling feeling spread out, causing them to unconsciously feel a trace of nervousness. The skeleton army can appear at any time in the dark. We have to be careful. Bailey Hongzhuang reminded. Chapter 5649. When Jingwei was only slightly weaker as he was at the 9th level of the Purple Realm. Mu Jin's, Mu Lingbing and Nangong Wu were also at the 8th level of the Purple Realm. With their talent, it would be easy for them to break through to the astral realm once they reached the upper realm. Because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others weren't worried. They believed that they would quickly adapt to life in the upper realm. Be careful, there's a darkness aura up ahead. Just as they were about to advance, Bewitching's warning rang out. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately stopped. No one doubted Bewitching's judgment. Just as Bewitching finished speaking, they quickly discovered that the flat ground ahead of them was beginning to wriggle. Soon after, potholes quietly appeared on the ground. The potholes appeared extremely quickly, as if they had always been there. Skeletons quickly emerged from the ground, accompanied by rustling sounds. Under the moonlight, they appeared even more sinister, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. Nangong Wu's mouth opened wide enough to fit an egg. Her round eyes revealed the shock in her heart. So many skeletons. Previously, she had been curious as to how many skeletons Hongzhuang could command. How could it be called an army? Now that she saw it with her own eyes, she understood that it wasn't an exaggeration. This was a real army. Lan Yunxiao and the others were also shocked. So many skeletons, yet they can move freely in the dark. The upper realm is truly mysterious. I thought I already understood this world very well, but now it seems that we were too naive. Wen Jinghui sighed. His clear eyes blossomed with radiance. Situ Yen smiled in the midst of his shock. Isn't this in line with your personality? Well said. I'm looking forward to the upper realm even more. When Bailey Hongzhuang heard Wen Jinghui's words, she immediately understood why Situ Yen had chased Xiren to Penglai Island. His personality dictated it. Beichen, can your darkness attribute control these skeletons? Lan Yunxiao asked. Di Beichen nodded slightly. Sure. Why don't you show us how to control it? Nangong Wu's eyes lit up. Speaking of which, she really hadn't seen Di Beichen's methods. For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on Di Beichen. Di Beichen looked at everyone and then agreed with a smile. Dark energy gushed out from Di Beichen's body, and the skeleton that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws suddenly changed its appearance. It respectfully bowed to Di Beichen. Greetings, milord. The leading general dismounted from the skeleton horse and respectfully saluted. Seeing this scene, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with surprise. She already knew about Beichen's method of controlling skeletons, but she didn't expect that these skeletons could actually speak. This was too unexpected. Di Beichen was also surprised, but then he nodded. Rise. Milord, where are you going? Do you need this subordinate to escort you? No need. Situ Yen and the others stared blankly at this scene. If they hadn't personally seen that this fellow was indeed a skeleton, they would have thought it was an obedient subordinate. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.